El Shaddai is interpreted quite differently throughout the scholarly community, not to mention throughout the Christian world. To the translators of the Bible, El Shaddai is the name of the Hebrew God, which is to be translated as God Almighty. For the ordinary Christian, including members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the translation is merely a reference to God and nothing more. The original Hebrew name El Shaddai remains largely unknown. For scholars, El Shaddai can mean a lot of things depending upon the linguistic and cultural evidence. The name can be and is interpreted through each individual lens of the interpreter. While linguistic and cultural evidence can point in the right direction, they are not sufficient to resolve uncertainty. The key to cutting through this Gordian knot of interpretation is to understand that the ancient gods, including those of the Bible, were originally the planets. The American historian Frank Emanuel, for example, put it simply. As we pointed out in another series, Aristotle declared that the ancient treasure from his Greek forefathers was the truth that the planets were the gods. Scientists Giorgio di Santillana and Hertha von Deschend summed up Aristotle's ancient treasure in their tome on mythology, Hamlet's Mill. Aristotle himself explained why this original truth has been lost. Over time, the Greeks as well as the other nations of the world, including the ancient Israelites, added and reinterpreted the gods to suit their expedience, as Aristotle put it. The gods were no longer the planets, but men, animals, and other things. To the world at large, the ancient connection between the planets and the gods has been all but forgotten. But this should not be so. For those who read and study the Bible, the scriptural record is clear. The ancient Israelites worshipped the planets, the so-called host of heaven, despite every effort to the contrary by Moses and subsequent prophets. The Lord made the worship of the host of heaven punishable by death. The high priest Hilkiah, under the command of King Josiah, famously cleansed the temple in Jerusalem. He did so by casting out the idolatrous priests and their objects of worship, all dedicated to the planets and the other members of the host of heaven. Every god worshipped in ancient Israel and throughout the world can be traced back to the planets. More importantly, the gods of the ancient world can be traced back to 3 specific planets: Saturn, Venus, and Mars. This key is very important when trying to ascertain the meaning of any name for God in the Bible. Underlying every name of God, which are many, is a planet or an aspect of a planet. This means that the names of God we have encountered to this point, including El Shaddai, Ea, Yah, and John's He which is, and which was, and which is to come, have all been derived symbolically from one of 3 planets or their aspects.